The battlefield developments over the past 48 hours have been centered on Pokrovsk. The New York Times, quoting the Commander-in-Chief of Ukrainian forces, General Syrsky, reported that the Russian troops were on the verge of capturing the strategic city of Pokrovsk. He also stated that his army would need to make unconventional decisions to bolster Ukraine's defenses, though he did not specify what those actions would entail. Ukraine's traditional defensive lines, consisting of minefields and UAV support, are no longer effective in halting the enemy's advance, as Russian assault forces have approached within just 1 kilometer of Pokrovsk. Russia has deployed various means, including off-road vehicles, motorcycles, and highly mobile pickup trucks, significantly increasing their pace of advancement. The first line of defense for Pokrovsk is the village of Shevchenko, while the second is the railway station area. Russia breached both after a week of intense fighting. Ukraine's supporting firepower in the region is thin and incapable of suppressing enemy assaults across the entire battlefield. The critical logistics hub for Ukraine's eastern front, Pokrovsk, has been under constant threat for the past 3 months. Russian forces have spent considerable time attacking the southern flank of the city. They have captured Kharkov and severed supply lines from Pokrovsk to much of the front line. Notably, Russia has been employing extremely elusive and relentless tactics in Pokrovsk. In the morning, they attack the right flank. In the afternoon, they shift to the left flank. And at night, they launch direct assaults on the center. Such continuous strikes have effectively torn apart the enemy's defensive lines. Meanwhile, all roads behind Ukrainian forces have been blocked by Russian artillery. Over the past 24 hours, Russian forces have successfully breached 10 settlements in Pokrovsk. On December 11th, they made significant advances west of Vozrozdeny village and south of Novotroitsky, destroying 3 fortified Ukrainian positions. They continued to gain control over Zarya village and blocked the route to Constantinople village, which serves as Ukraine's primary logistical route. The Ukrainian garrison in Pokrovsk is under immense pressure. Although Russia currently has only 9 brigades and 14 combat regiments on the Pokrovsk front, they have deployed numerous combat units around this city in Chasiv Yar, Toretsk, Kharkov, and Velika Novosilka and are conducting an all-out offensive. This has prevented satellite strongholds from counterattacking or reinforcing Pokrovsk. Even the most optimistic observers now concede that the loss of Pokrovsk is almost inevitable. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, Ukraine suffers irreparable daily losses of over 1,000 soldiers on the Donetsk battlefield, amounting to more than 30,000 soldiers per month. Notably, Pokrovsk has become the most significant meat grinder, with casualties far exceeding those of the battle at Bakhmut. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported that, from July to December, more than 50,000 Ukrainian soldiers were eliminated on the Pokrovsk front alone. Since the war began, this area has been a key supply hub for Ukrainian forces across the eastern region. Once Russia captures Pokrovsk, they will be positioned to seize more territory along the entire front and move closer to gaining control of Donetsk. Ukraine's losses have escalated in 2024, with workforce shortages becoming a recurring topic of concern. Although many Western officials and research groups, including the Institute for the Study of War, claim that Russia's gains have come at the cost of heavy casualties, they have yet to provide concrete evidence to support their statistics. In addition to personnel losses, equipment issues are also a significant problem. Following the heavy losses of U.S. Abrams tanks, Washington concluded that these tanks were useless for Ukraine. This may be one of the reasons why the Biden administration recently approved Ukraine's use of long-range missiles within Russian territory. Whenever Ukraine faces a strategic defeat, NATO introduces new weaponry to shift public attention. Previously, they claimed that Abrams tanks would be game-changers, followed by similar claims about F-16 fighter jets. They assert that long-range attacks using precision weapons will turn the tide. In reality, most military analysts agree that these weapons have minimal impact on the course of the war. Russia's typical tactics for urban warfare involve encircling and then bombarding the area with artillery and FAB bombs until most buildings and enemy defensive structures are reduced to rubble. According to Ukrainian insider sources, President Zelensky has instructed General Syrsky to hold Pokrovsk and the Kursk region at all costs until Trump's inauguration. The Kyiv administration aims to project stability on the front line and enter negotiations from a position of equality, rather than as the weaker side losing territory. Russia destroys another Patriot. Amid Russia's rapid advances in eastern Ukraine and the capture of Veslygai and Pushkino villages in Donetsk, 15 kilometers south of Pokrovsk, Moscow is now targeting Patriot missile systems. On December 14, the Russian Ministry of Defense announced that they destroyed 4 Patriot air defense missile launchers supplied to Ukraine by Western countries. This is not the first time Russia has destroyed Patriots. In October, they claimed to have struck 2 US-made Patriot launchers, along with a control station and a radar unit from the Patriot Defense Network. Reuters reported on December 14 that Ukraine has replaced its commander overseeing defenses in Donetsk, where Russian forces are making significant progress. General Alexander Tarnavsky, 54, was appointed head of the Donetsk Operational and Tactical Group, replacing General Alexander Lutsenko. Lutsenko faced criticism from Ukrainian military bloggers and some lawmakers for failing to prevent Russian forces from advancing toward Pokrovsk. As the front lines collapse, Western media acknowledges that Kyiv lacks sufficient workforce for a prolonged war, and U.S. assistance, in one way or another, will become futile shortly. Indeed, the Ukraine Lend-Lease program has been removed from the U.S. defense budget for the 2025 fiscal year. U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson announced the record-breaking $895 billion U.S. military budget for 2025, but it includes no provisions for Ukraine. Previously, the Biden administration enacted the Ukraine Democracy Defense Lend-Lease Act in May 2022, which expired in September 2023 without renewal. Ukrainian diplomats have lobbied for the act's reinstatement, as it allows the U.S. president to lend or lease weapons to Ukraine without congressional approval. To salvage the Ukraine project of the globalist elite, the outgoing Joe Biden administration is accelerating aid to Ukraine. On December 12, President Biden announced an additional $500 million weapons package, marking the 4th aid package in 30 days. In reality, the Biden administration's intent is not to help Kyiv, but to exhaust the budget allocated for Ukraine by Biden's government before Trump potentially takes office. This ensures that the allocated funds are converted into weapons, allowing the U.S. military-industrial complex to profit. Meanwhile, Ukraine will bear an additional debt burden. This may be one of the reasons why the Zelensky administration will only agree to a Christmas ceasefire or a truce on January 20th. As long as the Biden administration remains in office, military-industrial complexes will continue to have opportunities to spend the budget allocated for Ukraine. If a ceasefire were declared, all weapons supplies would automatically be halted. However, to secure more profits for Western corporations, Kyiv seems willing to sacrifice additional territory and thousands of soldiers on the battlefield. Now surpassing the 1,000-day mark, the conflict in Ukraine is approaching a highly uncomfortable stalemate for all parties involved. The situation demands swift action to prevent the conflict from spiraling further.